presentation. Adam, Carl.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and honored guests. I'm Frank Lardino, and this is my friend Adam Carl. And we want to speak with you today, throw a few nuggets at you to chew on, to take away with you. I know you've had a rigorous morning, and you have a lot more workshops. It's going to be a long day, so we'll make it brief. And first, I'd like to say this. It is truly a great honor for us to be here speaking with you. And like yourselves, we are also on the Gigi's Playhouse team. And it is definitely a great honor to be in the presence of all these champions of Gigi's Playhouse. I became affiliated with Gigi's when I met Paul Gianni. I met Paul about a year ago at our place of employment, Cherry Logistics. And we got along really well. We have a lot of things in common. He was a trader on the trading floor. Turns out he stood very close to me. We never met each other. And we're both Italian, so we got the hands going all the time. So we have a lot in common. But Paul quickly made it evident to me what his true passion was. And that's Gigi's Playhouse. And I jumped on board right away. And in 10 short years since the very beginning, this idea that the Giannis had, we now have 17 achievement centers. And we're growing. But we have some hurdles still to tackle. Adam?
Good morning. I'd like to take a minute to tell you who it is that I am. Frank Lardino has shared who he is, and I'd like to let you know how I fit into the equation and where I first learned of Gigi's Playhouse. And I first learned of Gigi's Playhouse because I, like Frank, I worked with Paul over at Cherry Logistics. And one of the first things I noticed at Cherry Logistics when I started there around the same time that Paul did was that on the wall is hanging in a frame a thank you card. And that's a thank you card for a sizable donation that Cherry Logistics made to Gigi's Playhouse. And right out of the gate, Paul Gianni shared with me what his passion was. Everybody has a passion that gets them out of bed in the morning. For Paul Gianni, Nancy Gianni, it's Gigi's Playhouse. And when he shared that passion with me, I knew that he was good at what he did. Because after all, there's an army of volunteers in this room. And that army got built by Paul and Nancy Gianni. And they're now an international organization. So I knew that he was good at what he did. And he was so good it made me nervous. Because anytime you're speaking with a fundraiser, if you're like me, those conversations usually end up with me covering my wallet just a little bit. You know, vice grip on there. You don't want to make sure anything falls out. And that's who I am. That's who I was when I came into this. And Paul Gianni, after time, things changed. And that's the idea I want to leave you with, is that we have struggling achievement centers. And those achievement centers, they need help. And how do you get members of the community to take the hand off of their wall and start giving back? So we'll start with that idea, and when I finish talking, we'll leave you with a challenge piece. It may be a small challenge for some of you, but if you're like me, it's a big challenge. And we'll go ahead and start with the role play.
So how do we get people to open up their hearts? Well, Sales 101 would tell you start with your inner sphere of influence, which would be your friends, your family, and your coworkers. It's very easy or easier to talk to people that you know and solicit some type of help or donation. But the next sphere of influence is actually more important because there's more financial resource, and that's businesses and retailers. But in particular, I want you to think about the businesses and retailers that you patronize. Think about the coffee shop you go to regularly, your bank, the restaurants you frequent. Adam and I are going to do a little role play, and I want you to envision being at the grocery store that you do most of your shopping at, and you're at the tail end of your shopping and your cart's full. I'm going to walk over to the customer service desk and talk to the manager of the grocery store. Adam and I are going to play this out. Excuse me. Adam, are you the store manager?
Yes, I am.
Hey, my name's Frank Lardino. How are you?
Mr. Lardino, good to meet you.
I just wanted to come over and tell you that I love this grocery store. This is where I do most of my shopping, and the reason I come here is because of the people you have on staff. Everybody always smiles at me, but in particular, I love the ladies who had at the register. Judy in particular, she always asks me how my kids are, how my family is. She's actually seen my boys grow up. And I get a really warm feeling when I come here. And I think you tap into the most important thing that retailers miss, and that's the personal touch, the customer service piece. And I just wanted to come by and give you a shout out about that.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks. And I'm surprised Judy has seen your kids grow up for so long. It's good to know that you've been coming here for a long time.
That's right. I wanted to leave you this brochure. This is an organization that's in the neighborhood. It's called Gigis Playhouse. And Gigis Playhouse is an organization that educates and helps families and children affected by Down syndrome. And we happen to be struggling right now. And I was wondering if you would be interested in making any kind of donation whatsoever.
Things are tight right now. I don't really have a lot of space to move contributions. I don't think now's a good time for me. You can always take my number and maybe reach out to me later. Now it's just not a good time.
I totally understand. You must get a lot of solicitations like that, but anything would help, even if it's like a case of water for one of our fundraisers, that would be great. Okay. I'll leave you the brochure, think about it, and if you come up with anything, just give me a call. And again, I want to thank you for putting out such a great product here at this grocery
Okay, we'll
store.
do a freeze frame right here, and I'm going to come out of this role play for a minute, because Frank Lardino, as a representative of Gigi's Playhouse, has asked me for a donation. And I covered my wall immediately. As the manager, I covered my wall. And that's what I want to think about right now as we get back into this, is that when people get asked for money, that's an uncomfortable conversation. I'm uncomfortable asking people for money that owe me money. And the whole thing is an uncomfortable conversation. So trust me, when Frank asks me for money, he's uncomfortable. But the person that's being asked for money is even more uncomfortable. So we'll cut back to it.
Well, Adam, I just want to thank you for your time. And again, you got a great grocery store here. I love the people, and I will keep coming back. Keep up the good work.
Okay. So let's go ahead and summarize this role play real quick. What's happened here is that Frank Lardino got a no from me. He asked the questions. He got a no. It was an uncomfortable interaction. There was a lot of pushback. But what's most important here is that Frank Lardino has planted a seed. He's planted a seed. He's increased awareness. So whether or not you're productive on that first contact, doesn't matter. You're increasing awareness. And we'll go ahead and go through another role play.
Just want you to keep in mind that I started with a positive, and then I talked about Gigi's Playhouse, and then I finished with a positive. So at a bare minimum, if the store manager is, let's say he's a selfish guy, he's got two little pieces to fuel his ego, and he's going to affiliate or associate those two pieces with Gigi's Playhouse. So now we've set the stage to make a phone call. Now I'm going to call him up in, let's say, a week or so. Not too long, but not too close to when I was there. And you have to be very in tune with, when the grocery store gets busy. You definitely don't want to call during peak times because grocery store managers don't have enough hours in a day. So whatever businesses you're soliciting, you have to be in tune with where the peaks and valleys are in the business. So now I'm going to call up Adam at about 11 o'clock on Wednesday morning because that's a lull in the grocery store business.
Pretend you hear a ring. I don't know how to make that noise. So you hear a ring. Grocery store manager, Mr. Carl.
Hey Adam, it's Frank Lardino. I met you last week at the grocery store. I handed you the Gigi's brochure.
Sure, yeah, I remember you.
Did you have time to think about that? Do you think you can make some kind of donation for us?
I flipped through the brochure. I don't think I've got any space right now. What were you thinking exactly?
Well, we're having a fundraiser in 2 weeks. There's going to be between 300 and 500 people. And as I said before, anything that you can donate would be greatly appreciated. And, if you do participate in this, we will give you, proper recognition. We'll put you on a banner and your store will be, recognized for that.
Okay, so I'll get some publicity, some market exposure.
Absolutely.
I'll have to talk with our marketing team and discuss whether or not I can write this off as an expense, what my options are there. But I think I'll be able to do that. I think I will be able to commit to making about 300 donations, canned goods, the whole thing, in order to feed your team that's going to be attending.
Wow, Adam, that would be phenomenal. can I meet with you sometime, in the near future to talk about, the donation?
Yeah, sure. Anytime you want to come in, we can firm things up. I'll have to speak with our marketing team and get things all firmed up on that end.
Fantastic, my friend. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Frank.
So this was a two-step process. This was a face-to-face and then a phone call. And sometimes this is going to be a 3 or 4 or 5-step process. It's really all about consistency. And the thing I want to tell you is it's very difficult to ask somebody for something that you've done nothing for. But these retailers, you're already giving them something, your business. And that really tugs on a business owner or a business manager's heartstring. We're leveraging our relationship with that manager to get a donation. So this is one way that this can play out. And the other thing I want to leave with you is don't leave any stone unturned. Paul Gianni wanted me to tell this story to you. I was at a meeting at Kraft headquarters in Northfield. The building is 750,000 square feet. It's colossal. And I was walking through the facility getting a tour by the facility manager, and she told me that they had done all this extensive remodeling. So it occurred to me to ask her, well, what did you do with all the old furniture and cubicles and file cabinets? And she said, well, we have all those warehouses right now. So I said, would you be interested in donating any of that to a charity that I'm affiliated with, Gigis Playhouse? And I told her, a brief summary of Gigis Playhouse. And I said, we have a new facility opening up in Hoffman Estates. She said, yeah, absolutely. I think we could work something out. To make a long story short, in about 2 weeks, we had a semi-trailer, full-size, packed with all the furniture, cubicles, chairs, and file cabinets that we needed to start the new facility. All I had to do was ask. And what's the worst thing that can happen when you ask? You get a no. The reason why Nancy Gianni is so powerful at fundraising is because she's fearless. She will ask anybody. And once you get good at this, then start teaching the people around you, start teaching all the other people in Gigi's Playhouse. It's not that hard. Adam?
Frank mentioned a couple of things that I'm going to piggyback off. The first thing that he mentioned was that you're not asking for something for nothing, because you're a patron of the grocery store. Wherever it is that you go and you meet with contributing members of your community, whether it's the grocery store, whether it's the cell phone shop, whatever it is, these are members in the community that offer opportunities. And you're not asking for something for nothing, because when you're in a nonprofit organization and you're successful, in order to be successful, you have to align with for-profit organizations. The other thing that Frank mentioned was that you have to ask. You have to ask. And whether you get a yes or a no, it doesn't matter. But I mentioned earlier that my interactions with Paul Gianni, me knowing that he's a very successful fundraiser, I covered my wallet. I covered my wallet and I held onto it real tight. Now, Paul Gianni, very good at what he does, he never asked. Not once did he ask. He never got a yes or a no, but what he did is he opened his heart. And when he opened his heart, I forgot to cover mine. I had my wallet covered so tight, I forgot to cover my heart. But unfortunately for Paul Gianni, when he did ask, I got my wallet out. There wasn't anything in there anyway. Just some change, some lint hit the floor. But I've since donated my time to Gigi's Playhouse. And everyone has a heart, and everyone has time. Not everyone has money. But that's my challenge piece, is open up your heart before you start asking. Back to Frank.
On behalf of Adam and myself and the Giannis, Gigi's Playhouse, I would like to thank all you for being the champions that you are. We've done great work. We have a lot more to do. And I'd like for all of us to give a round of applause to each other. Keep up the good work, guys. And, let's keep pushing into the future. Have a good day, everyone.